So the long sit spiral stretch, this is a back body sacrum spiral stretch. I think of it working on basically the glute complex, hamstring, IT band down through the peroneals, bit of the calf muscles, your gastrocsoleus, and through the sole of the foot when we flex out into the end of the stretch. We're gonna start off with our legs hip width apart. I'm gonna do this again at a bit of an angle just so you have a bit of depth. Your right leg is going to start out straight. Your left will be bent, your knee will be bent. The left toes will be in line with the ankle bone of the right foot. And what we're going to first train is a linear weight shift. We're on center seat, both sits bones are weighted, and we shift over into that right sits bone. Right hand can support with the fingers turned back and away behind me. I sometimes like to kind of tent it sort of Tarzan style up on the ball of my hand, the heads of the metacarpals, so I don't have my heel of my palm down and in. It just gives me a little extra lift. So I have the hand behind me, just shifting into that right sits bone. Notice the left seat comes off, inhaling into that shift and exhaling as we come back home. And we shift into it, we inhale and exhaling, coming back home, noticing, is this weight shift slow, soft, and smooth? If there are any stutters, it just gives us a chance to soften again in sternum, scoop in the pelvic floor, and that helps to really sort of iron out the kinks, as it were. It lets the little muscles wake up, the deep muscles, while the superficial can sort of soften a bit into it. And exhaling. Good. We're going to then go into a deeper spiral stretch. First, I'd like you to just see that when I shift into that right sits bone, this hand can help push me forward in front of my pelvis. You'll notice how, if you look at me in relative to my sternum, that when I shift into that right sits bone, this hand helps push me forward, so my low back isn't doing the work. The hand is actually pushing me forward, rolling my pelvis forward, letting the sternum slightly lift with a soft chin. Flexing that foot out, you'll feel a deep stretch along that right leg. And exhaling, we come back home. As we shift into that right sits bone, the hand supports to help sit us forward in front of the hip, flexing the foot out, toes to the sky. Soft chin, and exhaling. We shift into right sits bone, hand supports. As we sit forward and tall with a soft chin, sternum will spiral out a little past the right leg. And exhaling. We'll do two more. As we shift into right sits bone, hand supports for us to come forward and tall with a soft chin. Exhaling to come back home, little scoop of that pelvic floor just to make sure we have that slow, soft, smooth shift. And exhaling to come back home. In order to integrate, you can come up to standing and walk it around, but locomoting on the sits bones, walking on the butt is the same thing, basically. So we just have soft knees, soft sternum, little scoop of pelvic floor, and we just feel the arms swing with the body to kind of integrate in between. I never like to put the spiral stretches directly after one another. I always like to have a moment of integration before we go on to then feel the other side in contrast. So again, we are hip width apart. I'm going to do this a bit at a diagonal again. This time, with our left leg out, our right leg is bent, our knee is bent, the right toes are in line with the left ankle bones. The hand is behind us at the diagonal with the fingertips facing behind me. And we'll shift slowly into that left sits bone. Just feeling that weight shift, you'll hear my heel drag on the floor. And exhaling, it drags back in a bit. Just practicing that weight shift as we shift into left sits bone. It lifts the right seat off. And exhaling, soft chest, soft chin. And we shift into that left sits bone, little scoop of pelvic floor to make sure that we're coming back slow, soft, and smooth. And now we'll inhale into that left sits bone. The left hand helps push us forward in front of the pelvis, soft chin. Sternum spirals out a bit. We feel that nice stretch back inside of the leg all the way through the sole of the foot. And exhaling as we come back home. We shift into left sits bone, inhaling, pushing us forward in front of the pelvis, a little spiral out of sternum, and exhaling, and we shift. Left sits bone, back hand supports as we come tall with a soft chin. Elbow can float up and away if we like. And exhaling, we'll do 2 more. As we shift, we sit forward and tall. The hand helps push us forward so the low back doesn't have to do that work. And exhaling, last time, we find that left sits bone. Back hand helps push us forward and tall. Soft chin. And exhaling as we come back home. Again, to integrate, I like to just take a little bit of walking on the butt. Soften your sternum. Just feel everything kind of swing, a little scoop of pelvic floor just to help integrate. And that is the back body sacrum spiral stretch, the long sit spiral stretch.